Hello and welcome guys to my DSA tutorial. This is not actually a DSA tutorial. It's more, DSA, what does DSA mean? DSA basically stands for data structure and algorithms. For data structures, data structures are basically, structures like where you could actually store data, store like a variable is a structure, an array is a structure, an object is a structure, but a class is not a structure. I'll go through all that later, but before that, let's talk about algorithms. Okay, so over here, this is part one. This is gonna be a really short video, but over here, this is in our first video we're gonna be going to just some small hints about what algorithms are. Okay, so first of all, we have this question: print an array. Okay, so for this you need to know basic Python. This is very basic. It's not anything above you out of the or something. It's not really that hard. It's just something basic. So yeah, so okay, let's print an array now. The thing about algorithms are simple. Let's say I have a question here, and okay, let's say I'm gonna just open a new file. Da 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 txt. Let's open a file. Over here I'm gonna write a bunch of letters. Okay, now from these letters there, now let me tell you something. What is a data structure? An array is a data structure. So basically we have a bunch of letters. Now if I wanted to pop out the to pop out to pop out the letter E, I would have to go from the start, or I could start from the middle, or I could start from the 3/4 quarter place, or the third quarter. I could start from anywhere. Okay, so that's what algorithms are. You take a question and you begin to understand how I could actually break it down in terms of English, and how where I could start actually looking for what I'm looking for. Okay, so it's more like this. I want to print A, so over here I'm just gonna go and say, okay, I'm gonna take this as an array. Okay, I'm gonna take this as an array, and now I'm gonna say print A1. Okay, so as soon as I print A1, it will show me an array. Okay, wait, let me save it as something else. Okay. Well, yeah, so I'm just gonna print this, and oh, my bad, these are actually strings. Now if I have to print out characters, I will have to bind them inside, put them inside quotation marks. Okay, they keep double quotation, single quotation, but third quotation stand for, let's say they stand for comments. Okay, a 1 is B, it's gonna be a 0. Now I'm looking for A. So for A, I will go from the first, obviously, because we know it's standing right over there, and that's 0. But if I wanted to go for an I could just type in -1, and that's an I. But if I wanted an A, and if I had to start from the middle, I would have to write out a bunch of codes for it, and then get to the first position from the middle or the last position. I would have to write a bunch of codes. So that's the thing about algorithms. No matter what you go through, what you have to do, you have to think in terms of where to start and where to end, and where to make those minor adjustments. Okay, so let's start with print array. Over here there is a equals to input hello type something, array equals to 1. Okay, that's just the All right, so basically over here, if I want, okay, so here if I wanted to print out, let's say, okay, we went through all that. If I wanted to print out an E, I could simply start from the last and end it at E. Okay, so I don't need to go through all that right now. I'm just gonna close this. And now let's say, what else? Over here we have a question named print an array. Over here is print array, no issue with that, just print an array. Okay, so let's say, what are the things that they asked us to do? All right, now we gotta set up an algorithm for that. An algorithm, for example, let's say we have, okay, let's just open that again. All right, so if I have to print any letter from this array, I have to put an algorithm, write out an algorithm for that. So first of all, what I'm gonna do in print array is that I need to ask for an input of arrays. All right, and that's what I do. I ask for an input. That's the first thing. Like, we need an array, right? We're trying to convey a message here that print an array. Now if that array was given before, that's cool, but if it wasn't, we need to just, ask for an input and then put it in an array and then just print it out. All right, or we could save it in a variable and then print that variable out. I mean, not a variable. Like, if you want to print an array, you would need an array, which is a data structure, which is another data structure. Okay. So a equals to input hello type something, ar1 equals to an empty bracket over here for, and then I use a range thingy with for, like for is a loop. Okay, I use range in a loop to make sure that I iterate for the specific number of times until the end of an array, and then I just append it inside this array, and then I print it. Okay, so that's how it is. And then we have a reverse array. Now I now let's just say for this question, I didn't really have an input array at first. So that's how things will go. Array1 equals to input something, and then let's say I say reverse an array. Now over here, what I'm trying to do is that I'm also trying to print out that array in let's say, what is it, in a string. Now instead of now, since it's called reversing an array, what I did was that I started from the last. For example, if I wanted to print over here, I just start from the last, and then end up at the first index. And for that I would need an I, and this I increases from 0 to 1. So basically at first I is 0, and length of an array. Now here's a common misconception over here. Most people don't give -1. Why is that? It's because, let's say, if you have seven, like for example, let's say over here I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Over here we have uh over here we have 9. Over here we have 9 letters, and I'm gonna just, 9 letters, and I'm just gonna I'm just gonna take a reading for the length. Now if I say len a, save it and run it, it's gonna show 9. Okay, but the thing is, when counting an array, what the F, how long does it take exactly? All right, so the thing is, the length is gonna be 9 over here on the bottom. Over here you can see in the terminal. But the thing is, at when we are talking about arrays, they start from 0. Okay, they start from 0 all the whatever was arrays, but they start from, but in the, when I type len a, they start from 1 actually. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. That's how the length is. That's how the length works. Length is, that's how basically we count. All right, we don't know, that's how basically the computer counts. But when we count, we start from zero. We always start from zero. Let's say if we talk about how long a football field is or a soccer field is, right? We start from zero, like 0 meters. Then we go out and up when we complete a one, we're like, this is 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter. But we start from zero. Just the same way in arrays, we all start from zeros. Okay, it's all the ways from 0 to an 8. So if I start from 0, it's gonna be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So basically, but the what was the difference? The thing is, over here 0 is also a number. 0 is also considered. But when we're counting, we don't really consider 0. We consider 0.5. But then again, we start from 0 always. So yeah. But when we're trying to type in length, we start from 1, not 0. This length starts from 1, not 0. But when we're trying to count something, it always starts from 0. So that's the thing about length here. Alright, so now that we have that out of the way, I have length. Now -1 is because if I had nine, if I have nine letters over here, but if I wanted to let's say put it in a for if I okay before that, if I wanted to put it in a for loop, all right, the range, yeah, if I want to put this len a in the range of a for loop, to set out its range at the maximum and the minimum values of iteration. So basically in that range we put in the maximum and the minimum values of an iteration. So the maximum value over here in len a, it's like 9, right? But we got minus it to 1 because when we're typing in, because in this case when we're typing this length, it never assumes that we are starting from 0, because the job of length is that he's like, hey bro, I start from 1, I don't start from 0. Okay, and over here, so we need to put in -1 because this array is like, hey bro, I start from 0, I don't start from 1. Arrays start from 0, not 1, and length start from 1, not 0. That's why we need to put a -1. So that's how it is over here. So now to figure out algorithms, you need to figure out the question. At first we will have to figure out what they want from us, and then we gotta understand what to use to bring out that output. We need inputs and outputs. All right, so we have a certain number of inputs, which is an array, and the output is like this, that, and then we gotta think how big the output is. If it's actually kind of complex enough for looping and ifs, then we gotta use loops and ifs. If it's complex enough for classes and objects, we simply gotta bring out classes and objects. Okay, so now let's say take values from an array until we reach the median value. So over here, let's say median value is like more on the center, but the thing is this. Now let's talk about this one, a median value. All right, so 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7. Okay, we have it. We have 7 numbers over here, 7 digits, not 7 digits, 1 digit for each number. Yeah, that's how it is, 1 digit for each number. So all right, okay, now let's say take the median values. Now the median value is like the value in the middle. It can, like for different aspects, it's just different. Okay, for different aspects, the way we use it is different. Okay, so let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Now 4 is the median value. So what do we do about it? We now let's say we take in the length over here. We take in the len of array, and the length of array should be 6. Okay, because it starts from 0. No, it's 7. Length of array is 7, but over here the range is maximum 6, highest is array highest value is 6 and range is 7. So what we're gonna do now is that we are gonna simply take the middle number, because that's what the median is, and the middle number is actually length of array, length of array -1 -1 whole divided by 2. Now even if I don't put it to -1, I could just use it in a different way. Actually, I shouldn't use -1. Yeah, I shouldn't use -1. I shouldn't use -1, but if I mean, it's actually, you just gotta change things up. Wait, let me yeah, check it a bit. Alright, so if I use -1, but okay, now next up is the, okay, what's the next thing is, after that there's gonna be an issue, that is this value will be float. But if I wanted to use this specific, now this specific line, we gotta use this specific line. For example, for I in range, we need this, we need length of an array -1. Also in var, what's var? Var is basically how to reach the median value, because our range is going to be a median value. Okay, our range is gonna be that middle value. To get to that middle value, we'd need to make it half, and then we also gotta make sure that we round it all up in a integer number. Okay, and then there's a -1. So with this over here will be float, but we need an integer to function the range parameters in for loop. The value will be float, but we need an integer to function the range parameters in for loop. Okay, so that's the reason why we put in. Now what we did before this is that let's say I'm gonna this var loop, right? So we, now let's say var length over here, we take in the array all right. So over here okay, so what is variable? Okay, let's just say this part over here, now if I put this in a for loop, okay, then it would have to be calculated over and over again, but instead we are gonna put this in a variable. Okay, we're gonna put this in a variable, but there will be one more issue. Is that the var will be float. So what we're gonna do is that castrate the float to int. Castrate the float, my bad, spelling mistake, to int, and save it in a variable. Now we could do one thing, we could just ask ourselves what value we need. All right, now basically if there's a float value, if we take it in an integer, it could be the float to int would be rounded. So let's ceil, or so let's ceil, what is that again? Let's ceil, or the opposite of ceil. All right, whatever that was, ceil or floor, right? So let's ceil or floor, and then we okay, Now the thing is, why do we need all this? Now all we need here, all right, we're just saying for the until we reach the median value, right? So all we're doing here, we're making sure that we get to the median value and print all the values we had. So basically we start from the end, we start from 7, we take in we take in 7, we store it in a variable, we take in 6, we store it in a variable, take in 5, we store it in a variable until we get to the median value, right? So that's now, let's say a equals to hmm, all right. So let's say over here, now the first value, what, okay, so what do we have to do? That's the question. Now to answer that question, like, let's say the question is exactly this one, all right? So first we have to start, we just have to start from any place we are now, and we also need the middle value. We have to start from any place and also reach the middle value. Now we're gonna start from the end or the beginning and then get to the middle, right? Because we need all the values until we reach the median point. So let's get started. Now the thing about the start point is that we need to start from anywhere. So let's say we start from the end, start from the end, and then we start from the end and then we go uh, till the middle value, till the middle value, and we keep the values we reached before the middle value, all right, and we keep them in an array, all right, and then we can concatenate them in a string, or maybe no, like this is optional, let's just say this is optional. All right, so that's how it is. This is optional, and then we just print them. So basically at first I reached the number 7, all right. Let's say this is this is how things work. At first we reached the value 7 over here, we reached the value 7, and then what we did is that we appended them in a string, no, in an array, not a string, my bad, in an array. Then we reached 6, appended them in an array. 5, appended them in an array. And now we reached 4, and what do we do with 4? We stop and print the array we recorded. So that's how it is. This taking a screenshot of this is gonna be get helpful. So let's go back over here. I mean, there's really nothing to type. So this is how algorithms work. You just need to figure out how we start, the middle part and the end part, all right, and then you just flood the you just use flood, you just flood them in your brain, and then you're like, All right, you just know, you gotta know what the start is, the middle part is, and the ending part is. All right, and then you just gotta print them all out. That's all. So that's how everything works. And now let's say you have a huge project like 60 megabyte project or 6 megabyte project, like you're writing, let's say you're writing 2000 lines. You gotta understand that when you're writing 2000 lines, you're gonna have to break down things in bit by bit of codes, bit by bit codes. Now over here is the same. Let's say over here we have if. Now what we did is that over here, to do this much, we made a variable which is, and then we put the variable in an if to make sure that we can make this float. We will make this float and seal it up to round it up to a number that we want, right? So basically, and then I stored it in a variable. So that is a piece of code, that we did, which is different from what we need to do, but we did it so that we could actually make sure that we reach the middle value correctly. Okay, we get, and this is basically a support piece of code for the main code. And then over here in the main code, we just do something, we just we just looped it until we get to the middle. So you gotta think in terms of what things there are. All right, so there's the for, there's the if sometimes, but the things will be different from time to time. That's all. You gotta give it some time, and you gotta think about the start, middle, and the end, and then you gotta just revise it. So that's all. Hope you guys had a good time studying this. I'm gonna be coming out with more harder questions next time. So just keep following me and subscribe. Bye bye. And don't forget to subscribe, boys.